Day 42 for the war in Ukraine. Gruesome details just coming in from Ukrainian officials. They're saying this: Russian soldiers have raped girls as young as 10 years old and pulled out Ukrainians' tongues and burned swastikas into their victims' bodies. Again, that from Ukrainian officials. But as the Russians redeployed their military in the north, the southeastern region still being hammered by Kremlin's forces. With more on that in Ukraine, we'll bring in senior correspondent John Huddy, who joins us live now with the latest. John.
Well, right now, what we're looking at here is the remnants of a battle that erupted just days ago. We are on the main highway, M06, about 15 miles west of Kyiv. This was a Russian supply convoy, about 12 to 14 vehicles that our colleague Jim Lechner, who's with us on our team, tells me was more than likely hit by mortar attacks, judging by some of the craters like this one here in the ground, and it just lit this whole thing up. It just exploded, and now it's just a mass of twisted and charred metal. And this has really been what we've been seeing all day and over the last few days as we're able to get further and deeper into these areas. I gotta watch my step. That we're really on the front lines of the battle between the Ukrainian forces that were desperately trying to stop the Russian military from advancing and pushing closer to Kyiv. Well, that happened, and Russian forces did retreat and withdraw to the north back into Belarus. And speaking of which, we went on a ride-along yesterday with former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko to one of those communities in the north, very close, just south of the Belarus border, an area called Chernihiv. And this is a place that was just decimated along Borodyanko, another area that was about 5 miles from us, from our location now. But we spoke at length with former President Poroshenko about the ongoing war and about Vladimir Putin. And this is what he had to say in part. Listen. When you hear Putin and Russian officials saying that they're not responsible for Ukrainian civilian deaths, what do you say to that?
Definitely, we think that we have two recommendations. First, don't trust Putin at all. He's a complete liar. Second, don't accept Putin as an adequate person. He's mentally ill.
And he also explained that several things have to happen in order for this war to come to an end. Specifically, first and foremost, a ceasefire. He said he doesn't believe that's going to happen. He said the Russians cannot be trusted to negotiate a peace deal or any type of peace settlement in good faith. Back to this area on the ground, we also visited, as I mentioned, an area called Borodyanko, where rescue crews are now starting to go in there, where search teams are pulling through the rubble of some of the blown out buildings, looking for, hopefully, they pray, survivors who may have been in some of the basements or some of the bomb shelters, or also the bodies of the victims in these horrific and ferocious fights.
Yeah, it just seems to be the facts continue, according to Ukrainian officials, continue to get more brutal as the days goes on, at least how we find this out. John Huddy live there outside of Kyiv. John, stay safe. Thank you very much. For more on that, we'll bring in a member of the Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey. Good to see you, Congressman, and thank you so much. So you saw our reporter there live in just outside of Kyiv, and really the destruction, the devastation of what we continue to see, the horrors, if you will. This is day 42 of it. You have a top general of the United States saying this war could last years. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are this. First of all, they really don't know for sure. I mean, we all know that Ukraine was tremendously underestimated in its military force and the desire of its people to have freedom. So as you remember, when this first started, our generals, the information we got, they all said this would be over in 2 to 3 days. That is obviously shown not to be the case. So let's not prejudge, how long this is going to take and what's going to happen here. They're going to fight hard. They're going to continue to fight hard. We have a responsibility, no boots on the ground, none of our men or women flying planes or fighting on the ground. However, I believe that the Ukrainians need more air cover. They need more drones. They need to get those MiGs. I think they need to get those MiGs from Poland. We shouldn't even have talked about it a lot. We just should have gotten them over there. It would have been done before anybody had known, and it would really help. We need surface-to-air missiles so we can really, again, cover the skies. That's what's really important. We've bogged them down a great deal. When I say we, the Ukrainians have bogged them down a great deal on the ground. Now we have to worry about the air as well.
The Biden administration has announced, or at least President Biden announced, that he will impose more sanctions. We are waiting officially to hear exactly what those are. Sanctions already in place, but more to come. But you may have seen. I think
he's trying to learn what they're going to be as well. I don't know if he even knows. He's been leading from behind on this. I mean, he's doing some things now that are appropriate for sure, but he's done a lot that wasn't. He was really slow in getting activated in helping, and he knew what was going to happen. They were telling us. They would have press conferences every day and say, hey, this is coming. Well, if they knew it was coming, why didn't they help in the beginning? And I think it's because they underestimated what Ukraine could do, and I think they were just going to let it go. So I have very little, faith in what he says, and I think that he's done a very poor job all with this.
I'm going to pivot over, if I can, to our own southern border, the crisis there as we continue to watch with this recent announcement of retracting Title 42. The Hill reporting Title 42 dispute threatens to hold up $10 billion COVID relief package. With your position, sir, on your committee, are you concerned about the lifting of Title 42 for our own southern border and the crisis that we continue to see there as migrants surge? Many say this is going to get even worse. Your thoughts?
It's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get twice as bad, 3 times as bad. This is, I don't understand it, but I'm going to tell you, I sit on the committee, you're right, and I interviewed Mayorkas. Mayorkas is just completely unequipped, ill-equipped to handle this situation at all. His answers are bizarre. It's like if you asked him right now, if you get him on the show, and you said, is there a problem at the border? He would say, no, he doesn't see anything. He literally, I think, just looks at it with his eyes closed. I think he's a fool. I think he is such an embarrassment to America. We need somebody in that position that's so much stronger, so much better. And we need to seal up the border. I don't know what's so hard to understand about this. Third world countries, Mexico, all the countries around the world have a sealed border. It's something that is not wrong. It is the right thing to do. You maintain your integrity. This president and this Homeland Director is literally eviscerating our country. We are going to have thousands upon thousands. We just had thousands most recently, and 2,000 of them, we don't even know where they are. And did you see some of the types of people they are? Murderers, rapists, people who help hurt children. I mean, some of them are really bad people. These aren't just poor, innocent kids. There's a lot of bad people mixed in. Our crime rate's going to go up. They're going to be spread all over the country. This is disaster. It shouldn't be accepted. And I'm disgusted by it and disgusted by the way that they are literally ruining our country. It seems to be a purposeful desire to literally diminish the United States of America by our own people.
There are reports that those that are coming in, the crimes that they may have committed, and again, not saying everyone that's coming over the border is criminal. That is not what we're saying here. But the crimes that may have been committed by some coming over illegally, America doesn't know. The United States doesn't know. They can't vet that. They have no idea. It's almost like a clean slate. Plus, there are reports that they're given cell phones so they can check in with ICE right when you come over to the border. There's a lot to watch for that story. And I'm running out of time, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Hunter Biden. And I'll show you a headline here from MSNBC if I can. There it is. This Hunter Biden deal in a foreign country really does look bad. MSNBC reporting that. All now in the mainstream media. And you can't put it more plainly than that. Something that this network has covered for quite some time. Now mainstream's in it. Why now? Yeah. And your thoughts?
Because it's coming. I mean, it's all going to be opened up. I mean, they're looking into all this, and there's going to be hearings, and there's going to be a lot more in the future. And the bottom line is this. Donald Trump was accused of doing things, collusion with Russia, that he never did. Durham report and other reports have shown that he didn't do it. But boy, the mainstream media pushed that and pushed that and pushed that narrative, and it hurt him. Then we've got the guy who really is involved, Biden, and not only is he involved himself, Hunter, but his family is, his father is, God knows who else is. So we have people at the highest level, including the President of the United States, who are working with communist Chinese energy companies and making deals, and yet we're supposed to believe that they're objective and helpful and being presidential and fighting for the integrity of America. This is an awful thing. And this is, if you think Watergate was a big deal, Watergate was a child's game compared to this. This is the real thing. And I think you're going to see that to a great degree. The Bidens and the Biden family have stuck a knife into the integrity of America.
Congressman Jeff Van Drew joining us live here in the program. Congressman, thank you for your time. It's good to see you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.